Diddy is the devil. Who offers to pay $75 million to get out of jail and they say, yeah, no, not enough? I mean, are we really thinking everyone's talking about his potential bond fees and set bond amounts? Is nobody not looking at how astronomical these numbers are? When's the last American we heard of that needed more than $20 million to get out of jail? So if you offer that amount of money and they say, yeah, no, we're going to put you in jail instead, yeah, I really thought they was going to let him go. I started to think that he was going to get the bond. I was happy with ankle monitor, relinquishing your passport, no G5s, no more freak off, no 2C. I thought that, but no bond, no bail. That's amazing. That just makes me believe in God even more.
Welcome back to another episode of the High Frequency Chaos. Today, we're going to be diving in the rabbit hole of the Epstein of hip hop, the Diddler. So grab your drink of choice and salute. Let's get diving.
They raided his home and they found narcotics.
But that's not, the lubricant is not.
It ain't a crime, guys.
It ain't a crime.
But it is evidence, it can be used as evidence of a freak-off. Because they also have, they were calling these orgies, basically, that he orchestrated as a criminal enterprise with underage girls and
In some
commercials, and some of age, and commercial sex workers.
He's going to plead not guilty, obviously. He's going to fight this with all of his energy and all of his might and the full confidence of his lawyers. And I expect a long battle with a good result for Mr. Combs.
Do you think he'll be released?
I'm going to fight like hell to get him released, and he should be released with all that he's done and coming here voluntarily.
That's freak off tape that just got sold on the dark net, which I know because I monitor, went for $500 million. It had multiple stars in it. Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber, Drake. It was a really interesting night in Calabasas, and he just sold that footage.
For years and years, people have been claiming that Jaguar Wright's accusations about the Diddler were wrong, painted her as a crazy person. But now, she doesn't sound so crazy, does she?
The first time you heard me say that Sean Combs was a sex trafficker, and you said I was a liar because I was jealous, because I wasn't his girlfriend, because I wasn't successful in the music industry, because I didn't have a hit record, because I didn't live in a mansion, because I didn't have diamonds. You said all of these things about me because I told the truth. Did he get arrested finally and get the book ready to be thrown at his very, very, very dancing feet? They're going to beat his feet with that law book. That's how many crimes he's done. And everyone's so surprised. You know how weird that is to me? They procure bitches to do damage and wild shit. Like, it was something like that I said. Why don't nobody ever want to believe me?
Without question.
Jamal said it himself. Jaguar sat on the couch and said he put the boots to that girl, and y'all said she was a liar, and then we seen it, and then y'all just said.
There's never been an image of Diddy in handcuffs.
No, we need that. We need that. I need that perp walk. So as I keep reaching out to victims, I can let them know it's safe to come outside.
So let me ask you, Jag. Diddy was, and we're gonna go through this whole thing real quick, but
Jaguar warned y'all. That's what they saying on the
yeah, yeah,
associate. They got like 13,000 people or so over there now.
yeah. Everyone's typing in Jaguar right was right. He's he's trying to say, hey, listen, I hear y'all, but they're letting him know. Go back and listen to Jaguar right. Now you have to go watch everything she said.
The only thing that's gonna make any of this hoopla worth it is if he does a perp walk, if he gets put into a car, if he is treated like the criminal that he is on camera. See, they got all of these images leading up to the secret arrest of him having a good time and doing all of that. But when is he gonna start having a bad time?
Yo, Jag has been spitting truth for so long now. Everything is coming into light. For those who thought she was crazy, for those who thought that she was off in a loony bin, or she was a hater, or, she didn't get her chance. Yo, everything that's in darkness does come to light. I have another video of Jag. I mean, there's so many you can do on this woman, right? There's so much she has to tell. And I do not believe that she's doing this for selfish gain, but for the victims, for the ghosts of the past, for the artists who can't, won't, and are afraid to speak. Man, don't sleep on Jag. For those, I've seen it in the comments, y'all like, she's hating on Jay-Z because they're not together or she never made it. Nah, I think that was a choice that she had to leave the industry, or she would have lost her soul or her life. What are your thoughts?
He get arrested. I believe I believe he's coming in September. Because you got to realize, the grand jury intervened. They may have 45 days, 60 days, 90 days. They never usually go past 120 days. They got enough information, and they probably got enough stuff that he's probably willing to plea bargain, or see if they're going to give him that, or if they're going to let him plead or something. But I don't think the grand jury is going past 120 days.
And this is inside information you're getting, right? Or this is something you believe personally?
Well, I believe that personally, and then for the fact of the matter is that I know somebody who testified to the grand jury, to the Homeland Security, and they was made reference to some they thought that they couldn't go nowhere around in September or whatever like that. So maybe around in September something will happen.
All right, did he call that or what? What are your thoughts? I plan on doing a deep dive on this guy. He seems like he has a lot to tell, and for those who know him, let me know. I can see why the Diddler parties seem so enticing. It looks extravagant until you get lost in the dark.
gotta realize, man, he learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clyde Davis. You understand? When those people are telling you that they were heavy into the drugs, they was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage, that's gonna make him think that he could get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then. You understand? The things that he was saying, you know, the touchy-feely between two men and all that stuff like that, man. All that, he learned that from them dudes. When I told y'all the story, when me and my man went up to Russell Simmons, and he had a house, and he had a man in bikini drawers in his bedroom, in his bed. You understand? Bruh, this is that he learned. I'm assuming he learned it from them. Let me put that. And I'm not going to say alleged because I saw that for my own self.
And I hate to bring up this name, but it is apropos in this particular situation. Remember what Suge Knight said? Y'all remember that? When Suge Knight said he was in a world of trouble? Because Suge Knight said, listen, he knows a lot.
Do y'all
So
remember when Suge said that?
It could arguably mirror that. Jeffrey Epstein. Remember him? August 10th, 2019. Prison guards found, I'm reading right from online. Guards found American financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein unresponsive in his jail cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City, where he was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Tried to perform CPR, couldn't resuscitate him, pronounced dead at a downtown hospital at 6:39 a.m. What it went on to say in the reports that there were violations because normal jail procedures on the night of Epstein's death wasn't followed. It talked about a malfunction of 2 cameras in front of his cell. And you got people still to this very day with their conspiracy theories being thrown out there that it wasn't suicide, but ultimately intentional harm was brought to him because he knew too much about too many people. That's what Suge Knight alluded to when he was talking about P. Diddy. And as we sit here today, who the hell can deny that potential reality? Do we know? No. We don't know. But what we do know is that these are federal charges. What we do know is that his attorney has been on the record saying that he flew to New York as recently as a couple of weeks ago because they knew this was coming down the pike. And he wanted to show compliance and that he wasn't running from anything. And he's expected to plead not guilty. And he turned himself in, and months earlier had turned his passports in, and family members had also turned their passports in. But let's lay this out, because we need to understand that we need to gather a level of education in our own brains to edify ourselves to the kind of trouble you can get yourself in sometimes. Him, obviously so. Clearly, you can sit up there and say you're innocent until proven guilty. Nah, that's in the court of law. In the court of public opinion, he's already been found guilty. Can we just be real about that? In the court of public opinion, not law. In the court of public opinion, ain't a damn soul think he's innocent. I'm not denigrating or castigating the brother, whatever. I met him at a Golden State Warriors game. One time I went to a party and it was supposed to be his party. I never saw nothing like that. But without mentioning any names, without incriminating anybody, you see the names? Do you see the people who have befriended him over the years, who have attended his parties, who are considered close to him, who he's been in business with? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? I mean, this has gotten very, very scary. Hollywood's in trouble. Hip-hop and R&B is in trouble. But the brother's an elite success story, had a lot of friends, had a lot of people vouch or once upon a time vouched for him in terms of his brilliance as an artist, or producer rather. Brother knew how to make money, and now here we are. When you're in that position and you know so much, I got news for you. It's gotten very, very scary. If it were just him, it would be sad. It would be very unfortunate. But I use the word scary because I get the impression, to put it kindly, that his life ain't the only life that's going to be affected. That they ain't after him just to get him. You got Homeland Security involved. You got the feds involved. I got news for you. They ain't coming just for him. They coming for a whole bunch.
All right. What do you think about the Diddy list? We had the Epstein list. Now we got the Diddler list. Do you think Holly Weird is in trouble? And do you believe that justice is coming still for these people? Let me know what you think in the comments.
So Diddy had cameras all throughout his house, and he invited people to come over and do wild things, and he videotaped them without them knowing. And he kept those tapes. And he did this to have power over people, to guarantee their silence, to guarantee their cooperation. And he's doing this to control not just powerful people, but the people around him working close to him. At some point, he must have thought this was the smartest thing he ever came up with, but now it looks like the dumbest choice he ever made. He made tapes of himself committing crimes. When the government raided his homes, they took those tapes. People are saying, oh, Puff can use the tapes to get out of trouble. No, no, no. This is evidence against him. He created the evidence they're going to use against him. The tapes are going to make all of this way worse.
Yeah, it's called self-incrimination.
He was going to jail because God told me he was going to jail.
Have you ever been in one of these Diddy parties?
Yes, I have. I sat down with Storm Monroe 4 years ago and said that man was an S trafficker and he was using the business to S traffic young women and men. I said all of it. But when I pray for something, it always comes true. And I prayed the same prayer for Sean Carter. Y'all better get ready. I knew between the two Seans, go for the weaker one. Go for the knees. And I told Sean Carter, you are so closely tied to Diddy.
We got the infamous Jaguar Wright. Jaguar, what's happening?
Oh, nothing. Just God is good.
Sure
God
is.
So,
sure is.
you want to know what's funny?
What's funny, Jack?
Freaks like Tasha K and weirdos, like a few other individuals, have been running around for years. I sat down with Storm Monroe 4 years ago and said that man was an S trafficker and he was using the business to S traffic young women and men. I said all of it. Everything that I've been saying for over 4 years now, publicly, and probably 20 privately. Everything I said, it done happened. And I said earlier this year, Tisha didn't tell you, Sloan Bella didn't tell you, none of these people told you before I told you. This nigga's getting the perp walk. And I told you it was going to happen, not because of no evidence, not because of nothing. I told y'all it was going to happen because I prayed for it, and God don't play about me. I said he was going to jail because God told me he was going to jail. Y'all can cry. Y'all can do whatever you want to do. Get down on your knees. Pray to your little Diddy doll. I don't know what you want to do. But when I pray for something, it always comes true. And I prayed the same prayer for Sean Carter. Y'all better get ready. Everybody live right now. I'm going to let everybody go live. And then I'm going to just turn on the camera and I'm going to put up my Cash App. And I want $1 from every motherfucker that ever called me a fucking liar.
Easy, Jack, on the cursing. You know, it's all good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's all good.
This
It's all
is
good.
emotional.
I got you.
No, people are, I can't believe this day. Why not? Why shouldn't bad men go to jail? I knew between the two Seans, go for the weaker one. Go for the knees. And I told Sean Carter, you are so closely tied to Diddy. There's no way I'm not going to pick at your drawers and a couple of his bones fall out. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to lean on this sloppy one. And I've been leaning on the Diddler, and I've been leaning on him. Guess what? He done gave way. Now we going to see how much of his weight fall on Jay-Z. See, when I come for somebody, I come.
Well, let me ask you this. Being that he's in there with the feds and all that, you think Diddy gonna start giving up some names?
What are you talking about? He's been giving up names for years.
Okay.
The informant.
Make no mistake about it.
Carter and Sean Combs are government informants. There is absolutely no way guys like this, who were the bottoms in their neighborhoods, end up on top without government sanctioned help. These aren't the kind of guys that started off super scary. They hung with the super scary guys, but these weren't the kind of guys that started off. See, everybody sees them for who they are now, but you're not imagining who the fuck they were. I'm sorry, who they were before. Before they made their little special deals. Before they started doing all of the things they do. And listen, go back and listen to Gene Deal. There was an evolution from Puffy to the Diddler. Why don't nobody see the same evolution in Mr. Carter? Why won't nobody down south tell the truth about the fact that that big lip monkey promised them the next time Super Bowl came to L.A.? And when I say L.A., I'm talking about Louisiana. They was going to get looked after. There was all kinds of deals. Why don't y'all tell the truth that this nigga fucking burned you just like he did Dame? Why don't nobody want to believe me?
They believe you. They see it now. Oh, yeah. You know, ever since this whole thing with the, Super Bowl with Lil Wayne not performing and Kendrick, yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lineup.
Yeah.
It's a lineup. And it is a lineup that benefits the government agenda. You don't get to hurt people with impunity for this many years and think that nobody saw it. Why is everyone so hush about my interview with Jonathan Hay? Why don't somebody just go and sit down and listen to what that man had to tell me about what happened to his life after he was Rihanna's publicist and Aubrey's publicist? Duct tape, getting pissed, getting pow whipped in front of his child after doing that story with Sophie when they was trying to disappear that kid away because that kid had allegedly been HT'd.
All right, I said this before in one of my other videos that P. Diddy is definitely an informant. And you know what? I really do believe that Jay-Z is also an informant. For the amount of disgusting acts they have done against artists and people of this industry, and to not suffer, I believe their time has come, is coming. Believe what Cat and Jag were saying, yo, and is saying. They're not so crazy now, are they?
Puff, I got some intel. The guys are coming to kill us tonight at the museum party. He said, Gene, I don't want to hear that shit. He said, you ain't got to go if you don't want to go. You understand? But I don't want to hear that. So, quiet as it kept, I'm the only one with toast. You know what I'm saying? I know Paul don't have nothing. I know D-Rock don't have nothing. So first we lined up parallel to the door in which they have to come out. Right? You follow me?
Yep.
All right, we lined up parallel to where the doors they have to come out. Puff is running back and forth like, yo, he'll see a girl, he'll go grab a girl. He said, yo, Gene, remember her, she coming to the party tomorrow. I'm like, remember her? What the fuck is you talking about, bro? I've never seen him act like this ever, because he don't act like that. Because even in New York City, once Puff get in the car, he'll leave his mama. We gone, we out. So Puff is like looking, and if you see the cameras, you see him running back and forth, looking and everything like that. I say, yo, y'all ready? He said, yeah, we ready. So we pulls out the driveway, and now we lined up side the street. Paul comes up to me. I said, yo, Paul, you good? You good? Y'all ready to go? You ready to go? I said, all right, because Puff had already made the decision that we're going to Steve Stout's house now. So when he gets up there and he said, yo, we were just leaving. No, we were going to Steve Stout's house. As I go to get in the car, this motherfucker reached down and let his seat all the way back. So now I got to put my legs sideways. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is you doing? And so then Kenny said, you ready? He said, you ready? I said, Kenny, run the next 3 lights. Run the next 3 lights, Kenny. Kenny say, for what? I said, motherfucker, run the next 3 lights, Kenny, or I'm going to drive. Run the next 3 lights. Kenny just took off. We got across the street. Tone, who was behind me, said, yo, somebody in the car pointing a gun at Big them. I goes to open the door. Fucking, next thing you know, you hear it say, pow! Pap, 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 pap. Yeah. 5 or 6 cars was like, pap, 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 pap. Right? Fucking Kenny guns the car going forward. I said, Kenny, what the fuck is you doing? He said they shooting at Big. He said, we don't know who they shooting at. We stops right in the middle, right in front of Big's car. We stops. Puff jumps out the front seat and runs around there to Big's car. All that shit running around the block. I ran down the block and shit like that. That's bullshit. When we got in front of the car, he jumps out the car, ran over to the big side of the car. So now I'm behind Puff and I'm looking down the block and everything like that. And Kenny jumped in their car because he said he knew where the hospital was at. And now Tone was driving our car. So Puff said, Kenny, you know what the hospital is? He said, yeah, I know where the hospital is. And Big, he said, yo, Big, I'm going to get you to the hospital. Big, I'm going to get you to the hospital. And Big said, just do it before I close the door. He said, just do it. Lucy said he didn't say nothing. But I see he's a 17-year-old kid. He in shock and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? When those shots went off, I heard somebody was on your program say, everybody ducked down in the car. Only one person ducked, and that was Puff. Everybody else was trying to look back or was looking back at the situation. When we pulled him out the car, and I know people going, you know, because you know how the internet is. Yo, you didn't have to say that. When he had soiled himself, let me just put that way, and I grabbed him, and you had the stent, I dropped his leg, man. It's like all my strength had left my body. You know what I'm saying? And then I heard somebody say, Gee, what you doing? And I just grabbed him. And we put him up on that damn stretcher. That's a lot of dead weight, bro. But I was like, Paul came to me and said, yo, Gene, what's wrong? I said, that nigga dead, Paul. He said, no, dog, he just was hit. It's trauma. I said, nigga, he pissed and shit on himself. He dead.
So that was my very, very first time watching that clip. Now I believe that Diddy was responsible for Biggie. I mean, I had my assumptions, but that just made the concrete in stone. Yo, this Diddler, justice needs to come. For real, for real, for real.
It truly is about the Benjamin, as we see.
Oh, yes, he's literally. It truly is about the Benjamin. Well, now, when we come back, we're going to talk more with Puffy, and if you want to hang out, more than welcome to stick around, my brother. All right? We'll be right back with more right after this.
Fresh off the guard stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause, but like just back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the frosted flakes. And we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was fucking stupid. Listen.
We're having a good time, yo. Your usher made it in the... Hey, yo.
Maybe that was a clip that got Kevin killed right there and then. What are your thoughts?
I know what it feels like to be duct taped in a trunk of a car. And I know what it feels like to make a deal that you don't want to make to get out. His PTSD is real.
So let's start with this, Jack.
Drake, he was working with Drake and then helping Drake's baby mama, who he was trying to keep on the low, and all of a sudden he in the trunk with his daughter. Come on. Man. There was some shit going on with Triple X, Stacey and what a Drake baby. There wasn't in Aubrey.
So, Jack, as we get started.
In Aubrey putting hits out on goddamn PR reps.
Yeah, no. It's wild. Wow.
Because that's really what it's looking like, ain't it, Drake? Am I reaching?
The man said,
They not like us.
They not like us.
They not like us.
A.K.A. Puff Daddy P. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. It's a multi-count indictment against Sean Combs, A.K.A. Puff Daddy P. Diddy. Well, this case is going to go the same way as R. Kelly. And what I mean by that is look to the fact that there will be no plea. Sean Combs is going to prison, and it's just a matter of how long. Why do I say that as a former prosecutor? Because when you look at the indictment and you read the specifics of it, the U.S. government, the U.S. District Attorney's Office, the U.S. prosecutors, what they've done is they've built their case. 6 months ago, we saw Sean Combs' properties get raided. It's outlined in the indictment. I say that because a grand jury has now just released a racketeering conspiracy charge against him. Why is that a big deal? Grand juries typically consist of 12 jurors who's already heard evidence viewed in the favor of the federal prosecution, meaning the U.S. Attorney's Office goes before at least usually 12 jurors to say, is there enough here for us to bring an indictment, i.e. charge, in this case, Sean Combs. So they've already got a little preview of the evidence, and they said, yeah, it does. And not only that, multiple counts. Creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Now, that's a huge deal because what we know from the last 6 months after they raided his properties, they were looking for videotapes, they were looking for phone calls, they were looking at any physical evidence to put this together, and it looks like they have it. What's the difference between the feds and the state? State attorney's office, i.e. local, you get arrested, local police department, sheriff's office brings the charge to the prosecutor's office, they review it, and they move forward. Meaning they still have to build their case. Here, when you're talking about a U.S. attorney, they've done their investigation. It's different at the federal level. When they charge you day one, they're going into court and saying, we're ready to go. The only plea, in my opinion, is going to be conditioned upon Sean Combs going to prison. It's going to be sitting right there next to R. Kelly. And why? Because when you look at this, they reference and they talk about the witnesses that they have. Hotel workers, people from his businesses, friends, associates, sex traffickers. They don't plead with this type of specificity when it happened. Supervisors, security staff, household staff, and go into the illicit detail of what he orchestrated to match the racketeering charge. That means for 6 months, the feds have at least done their homework. The U.S. attorney had enough to take it to a grand jury. The grand jury has come back and said that, yes, criminal acts were committed. In my opinion, don't get it twisted. Even Puff Daddy doesn't have enough money to make this go away. Keep in mind, the U.S. government, U.S. Attorney's Office is the biggest, strongest, and the wealthiest law firm in the world. He's not going to buy his way out of this. In my opinion, as a former prosecutor, they're not going to accept a plea or a fine. He's going to be looking at prison time. The only is when and for how long. That's what his defense attorney is going to do. You'll hear him in the press. He'll come out. They'll plead his innocence. Innocent until proven guilty. We get it. But when you're a defense attorney and you look at the possible witnesses who can bring it together, and by the way, those civil claims that he settled don't mean anything. That those non-disclosure agreements aren't going to apply to a criminal charge. And why do I say that? Because the feds are going to say, hey, that's great for your settlement. And it says it's a non-disclosure, but guess what? You're going to be my first witness, and you are going to testify. And does he really want to have a trial and air this out nationally? But this exposure, you cannot take this in front of a jury because they're going to leverage him. They're going to give him a plea, but if he goes the distance, then he's going to get hammered. At the end of the day, I think this indictment is too specific. It goes for too long, and most importantly, they have too much evidence and too many witnesses for him to get out of this thing. I think you can look. One of the biggest icons in the hip-hop world is going to be doing prison time.
All right. What are your thoughts on what this prosecutor has to say? Former prosecutor. I think that was a lot of interesting points and a lot more information that we now have.
Why is that not a fair outcome?
What he did here is on a magnitude of unlike anybody else you could imagine. A week after those public searches were televised, he gave us his passport. His children gave us his passport. He then paid off the mortgage entirely on his Miami home, $18 million. It's instructive that he's going to have a bail package ready so that if he was arrested, he would have something ready so that he could get out the next day and show the judge he's taking this very seriously, which he is, which is why 12 days ago, Chris, when we thought there's an indictment that may be coming, he flew to New York the very next day. And that's an extraordinary move for a defendant who's been under investigation that he's been aware of for at least 6 months. He has done everything somebody under investigation can do. I can't think of anything else that he could have done. He's fighting. He's fighting. He's innocent. And he's going to be able to show
Last
it.
night, I was actually doing a lecture at USC, and I got a call from one of our producers. And apologies to the students that I bailed, but we broke a story that Diddy got arrested last night.
Arrested last night in New York City by the feds.
And I got to tell you, Charles, I have never read 14 pages that contained so much
many allegations.
Shocking information and allegations. Diddy, among other things, he has been accused of sex trafficking, engaging in a conspiracy to foster prostitution, racketeering, kidnapping, narcotics offenses, arson, bribery. That is the beginning.
And the feds lay this all out, that they say that basically his organization, his company, which they refer to as the Combs Enterprise, which certainly sounds more like a
mob,
outfit, that it existed mainly to fuel his desires, often his sexual desires. And they lay out in detail a lot of those sexual desires in this indictment.
So one of the centerpieces, and we've talked about this before, are these freak-off parties that Diddy hosted. And, you know, we all knew...
That's the allegation. And remember, Cassie that first came to light in Cassie's lawsuit, where she talked about these freak-off parties that he would have at hotels she said, in Atlanta, Miami, L.A., and New York.
And they were essentially orgies. But the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, who filed this, laid this out at a press conference and specifically addressed the freak-offs.
The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims.
Now, they say they found those recordings of the freak-offs during the raids on his homes in Miami and here in L.A.
Which opens up a whole Pandora's box of who is in this. One of the things they are alleging, and this is the prostitution charge, which is that Diddy would bring male porn stars across state lines to participate in these freak-offs and essentially victimize, I mean, that's the way they're putting it, some of the women who were pressured to be part of this.
Yeah, the feds are alleging, Harvey, a full-scale criminal enterprise here. They say that Diddy was conspiring with many people, mostly his employees, to engage not just in drawing people out across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, forcible coercion of sexual acts, forced drugging and raping of women, guns, all sorts of crimes, and
drugs,
it's all part of a criminal.
Drugs.
You heard
quantities
Damian
of
Williams,
drugs.
the U.S. attorney, talk about these.
GHB, oxy, ketamine, which he mentioned, cocaine,
huge quantities of
MDMA.
drugs.
I mean, just really, Charles, this 14 pages is
They packed a lot in those 14 pages, and it is now, you know, Diddy's, we should say, his side, his attorneys have said that they're disappointed. I always find that weird when they say, we're disappointed that they decided to pursue this. Well, of course you're disappointed they decided to pursue it, but they say they will fight this in court, and they say that he will plead not guilty, and they're going to fight it.
So I'm not going to lie. The more I dig down this rabbit hole, the more infuriated I am of what this man and others like him and other people are doing to other people, innocent people, and even those who are not innocent, in the industry, and the advantage and the cruelty, the inhumanity that's happening. I mean, yes, we live in a dark, deceptive world, but these rabbit holes can make you question humanity and the powers and our so-called governments.
Federal court for the Diddy case, and it is not looking good for the media mogul. Today in court, a Manhattan judge denied bail, pointing to the obvious power imbalances that are at play here, saying that it might lead to potential witnesses feeling intimidated. Okay, so at the center of the prosecution's case, as laid out in that 14-page indictment, are these freak-offs that, according to the indictment, were these elaborately produced sexual performances that were arranged, directed, masturbated to, and recorded by Combs. The indictment also details that ahead of these freak-offs, his staff would set up hotel rooms with extra sheets, baby oil, lubricants. During the raid of his homes, part of the evidence recovered were 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Now, according to the indictment, these drug-fueled sex-offs would last days, with Combs and his victims needing IV drips because of the physical exertion and because of the drug use. They claim that shortly after that incident, where Diddy is seen on surveillance video assaulting Cassie at an Intercontinental Hotel back in 2016, that he went and bribed security to make sure he got that footage. To further make the case that he has a history of obstructing justice and intimidating witnesses, they talk about the Don Richard lawsuit. That lawsuit was filed on September 10th. 4 days later, on September 14th, Kalina Harper, who was also in Dirty Money with Don, came out and said, whatever was detailed in that lawsuit isn't my personal experience. Now, why is this important? Because prosecutors say that in those 4 days between the lawsuit and her statement, Diddy called her 128 times and texted her 58 times, and then after her statement, hasn't contacted her since. Now let's talk about what the defense laid out to convince the judge to grant him bail. They say that there was no trafficking, there was no coercion, that this was a loving relationship between two consensual adults that lasted a decade. His defense attorney says that what Diddy is guilty of is cheating on Cassie just like she cheated on him, and they had a mutually toxic relationship. Let's quickly talk about that surveillance video that was taken at the Intercontinental Hotel where you see Diddy physically assaulting Cassie. Now, prosecutors say that that happened after a freak off when Cassie was trying to get away. Defense has a whole different story. They say that Cassie woke Diddy up by hitting him over the head with a phone when she found out that he had other girlfriends he was messing with, and then she started packing up the only clothes that he had into those bags that she's seen carrying and tried to get away, which they say explains why he only ran out of the room with a towel on. They claim that this was a mutually toxic relationship and that Cassie was stepping out on Diddy too, and it only ended after she fell in love with the personal trainer that Diddy got for her. The defense attorney then insinuated that maybe Cassie wasn't happy at home after having 2 kids with the trainer, and that I gotta look at my notes for this one, and that she realized that she had things pretty good with Diddy because she had her lawyer contact his lawyer and said that she was writing a book and that he could buy the rights to that book for $30 million. Diddy's attorney goes on to say that he refused, that she got herself another lawyer that convinced her to file that November lawsuit and call what happened consensually sex trafficking so that she can eventually get him to settle, which he did, for a large amount. They wouldn't say how much. I hope you're keeping up. His attorney also listed all the preemptive steps that Diddy took in order to gain the court's trust so that he could be granted bail, including handing over his passport to his attorneys, paying off a $50 million home, trying to sell his jet, which he was unsuccessful in, as well as voluntarily letting his attorneys know so that they could let the government know anytime he traveled domestically. Lastly, I want to point out that prosecutors cited the R. Kelly case, the Jeffrey Epstein case, and the Keith Raniere case as they argued why Diddy should be denied bail, given that he's a flight risk. And now Diddy will remain in federal detention until his next court date.
Oh! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get!
According to a recent lawsuit that was filed, P. Diddy might be a pedophile. This new lawsuit alleges that P. Diddy constantly held parties at his house that involved minors, adults who were assaulting these minors, male and female sex workers that were servicing everybody. And this lawsuit even alleges that P. Diddy himself spiked people's drinks at the party to get them looser and convince them to do whatever he wanted them to do. This lawsuit came from one of P. Diddy's former employees, a man nicknamed Little Rod. And this lawsuit is incredibly disturbing and paints a picture of Epstein-level allegations. Allegations that P. Diddy may have been involved in a trafficking ring of sorts. Allegations that P. Diddy forced his employees to go out and procure sex workers for him in his parties. Allegations that P. Diddy violently forced people to do things for him. Allegations that P. Diddy may have murdered people and admitted to it. Amongst many, many other allegations of assault, groping, and yeah, just so many different things. These are some really disturbing allegations, and while they haven't obviously been proven to be true in court yet, the team that actually put these allegations forward claims that they have hundreds of hours of video and audio evidence incriminating P. Diddy and his entire team in this string of illegal acts. I'm sure that this is going to be some really disturbing stuff. I'm going to be sure to cover this story as it unfolds more. And yeah, if this is all true, this is extremely dark and disturbing stuff, and I think that this web is going to spread very far across the music industry.
I'm not a lawyer, but I definitely saw the CNN video that was posted of Diddy and Cassie, and while I'm not going to play the video on my page, you should go to CNN.com if you want to see it yourself. I did want to highlight two things. Number one, if you go back to the civil lawsuit that Cassie filed against Diddy back in November, which was settled less than 24 hours after it was filed, page 22 may be a description of what is depicted in the CNN video. Page 22 says that in or around March of 2016, during an FO at the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, Diddy became extremely intoxicated and gave Cassie a black eye. After Diddy fell asleep, Cassie tried to leave the hotel room, but as she exited, Diddy awoke and began screaming at her. He followed her into the hallway, yelling at her. He grabbed at her and then took a glass vase and threw it at her, causing glass to crash around them as she ran to the elevator to escape. Further down in the lawsuit, it says that upon information and belief, Diddy paid the Intercontinental Century City Hotel $50,000 for the hallway security footage from that event. And as we all know, Diddy's LA and Miami house were raided on March 26, 2024 by the FBI. Okay, so the second thing that I wanted to get into is that I get a ton of comments of people asking why victims sue for money instead of putting people in jail and pressing charges. Here's the lesson that I want you to know. When you or someone you know breaks a law, you've broken the state's law, which is why they can punish you by putting you in jail. Hence why it was the state of California versus Daystar Peterson, or the state of Georgia versus Jeffrey Williams, because the allegation is that these people broke the state's laws. Now, if when you broke that law, you also victimized a person, that person can also sue you for compensation or for money for what you did to them. So, the state makes you pay for breaking a law by putting you in jail, and a person can make you pay for victimizing them by suing you civilly. They both can coexist. And a victim has really no say-so on if the state is going to take you to trial and try to prosecute you for breaking their laws. So, I say all of that to say, Cassie suing Diddy back in November and that case settling has no bearing on if Diddy is also going to be charged for the alleged crimes he's committed. That's totally up to the state, and in this case, up to the feds. Did y'all follow that? So if you want to be paid for what someone has done to you, you gotta sue him.
Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
I know that she did.
You think it's
As
full
an
30?
attorney, I believe so, because that's how it happens that fast, is because there's no, when you give them the policy cap, there's nothing to argue about anymore.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
I didn't know it was that deep. It is. That's the only time it goes that fast, is you take away what is there to argue about. And what's even crazier is the other reason it went, because it went that fast, she didn't have to sign no confidentiality.
Agreed, and that's what's crazy to me. She could still write that book.
She gonna write that book. And that's why he may have criminal something later. If the statute of limitation hasn't expired on that, I don't know. But in New York, if you settle in under 21 days, there cannot be no confidentiality agreement. And she also sued under California. California says if you're accusing them of something that could be a felony, which she is, then under no circumstances, 21 days or otherwise, you cannot have a non-disclosure. Because the public should be warned and should be get the chance to know whatever it was he did to you.
Wow. So if we're hearing you, Diddy's public reputation is done.
It's done.
Yeah.
And if he wants to be able to leave anything to his children, he needs to walk away from all of these corporations.
Damn, he can no longer be the head of his corporations.
Well, remember, didn't I say directors and officers liability?
Yeah.
More than likely, what will happen is those insurance companies, they have the ability to say, we won't renew your policy if he continues to be a director or officer.
And you got to have
That's
that
why
insurance.
Vince McMahon stepped down, huh?
Yeah, that was the same reason.
Who?
A wrestler for WWE, the owner, CEO, he had to step down for a similar reason.
Vince McMahon.
Probably the same thing. Didn't tie in that insurance.
So when people say it's about the money, it's about the money, I say in America, if you get to the money, if you get to the insurance, that's how you control the behavior. Because nothing else could make Puffy step down.
Oh, without question. Yeah, without question. Nothing.
Oh,
will.
now, who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right, because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him.
Brashear Gray, one of the stars of the hit show Empire. Tonight, we're seeing hours of new video from his July.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because Cat Williams is storming onto the scene like a firecracker, ready to shake up the entertainment world with some explosive allegations. He's not tiptoeing around the issue either. He's diving headfirst into the murky waters of a scandal allegedly involving Brashear Gray, some big shots in the industry, and a whole lot of drama. For a while now, whispers on the streets have been swirling about Diddy's supposed involvement in Brashear's downfall. But Cat isn't content with just whispers. Oh no, he's pointing fingers straight at the top dogs, sharing a glaring spotlight on figures like Lee Daniels, Charlie Mack, and even the beloved Will Smith. Allegations of their involvement in a situation that allegedly derailed Brashear's career and impacted his mental well-being are flying left and right. Cat's not holding back. He's putting everything out there, no sugarcoating. He's got real video footage showing how these guys allegedly had a hand in causing Brashear's supposed mental breakdown, and then supposedly using it for their own benefit. It's pretty heavy stuff, and now fans are starting to wonder, did this whole situation really push Brashear to his limits? It's definitely got everyone talking.
Charlie has been with me, 30 years coming up in the business. So, he's surrounded by a whole lot of strength. He's surrounded by a whole lot of love, and all he has to do is add discipline.
Now, it's pretty clear that we've got to watch out for Cat Williams because he's really stirring things up out there, doing what some... But it looks like Diddy either didn't get that memo or just doesn't care because he's rubbed Cat the wrong way, and now the revelations are exploding. For starters, we don't know all the nitty-gritty details of what caused this rift between Diddy and Cat, but it must be serious. I mean, Cat's never come at anyone this hard before. Sure, he spilled some tea here and there, but this time he's going all out on Diddy, and everyone's scratching their heads wondering what in the world went down. While we're trying to piece together this drama, Cat's not holding back. He's dropping bombshells left and right, claiming that Diddy and his crew were mixed up in some shady business that almost ruined Brashear Gray's life. And you know what? It didn't take long for things to get even more intense. The feds raiding Diddy's homes has got everyone talking. And if that wasn't enough, Cat's also saying that Brashear only got his start in the industry because of some shady dealings with a guy named Charlie Mack, who supposedly had a thing for new talent. But before we get into that, let's rewind to the beginning of Brashear Gray's rise to stardom. Born on November 28, 1993, in Germantown and raised in West Philly, Brashear had big dreams from a young age. He fell in love with rap when he was just 16, hustling hard to make it in the music scene, growing up with a single mother juggling 3 jobs to support him and his sister. Brashear knew the value of hard work. Despite financial struggles, he remained dedicated to his passion, even taking on a job at the local Pizza Hut to fund his music dreams. Using his first page...
Has Sean Carter made a statement on behalf of his friend today? His good friend, Sean Combs, the only man that calls him Sean. He doesn't deserve bail. Not at all. We do need justice for Kim Porter. We need justice for Wendy Williams, too. Please, let's get justice for the living, too. To live to see this. You fucking right, Ellen DeGeneres and her Diddy Party VIP card. Not the baby oil. This baby oil is going to be, it's going to be a thing. They're going to be talking about the baby oil. With the baby oil is a 50-50. I guess that's the days you got to get two-seat up, you know? They had the fashion to feast on, and now they feasting on Diddy. Hey, South Africa. J-Lo needs to be charged. And there's another living survivor that needs justice too, Natanya Rubin. Shout out to her. This is a huge day for Natanya. She's been screaming for nearly 30 years in the name of Yeshua that this man harmed her and that J-Lo was there. Everybody had GSR except for the man that went to jail, Shine. I want $1 from everyone that ever called me a liar before today. Millions
Pay this
of
woman.
people
She's been speaking truth.
called me
Pay
a
this woman.
liar.
Yes, let's pay her.
I want $1 from every one of them. Just $1. And there have
Just
been
$1.
so many. Diddy the Diddler. You better believe justice for Kim Porter. And Justin Bieber. I don't even know if he gets on the stand how he'll do it without needing a medical professional, because all of the things that he'll be, oh my God, justice for Cassie too. Oh, they talking about Meek. Meek was Diddy, baby. Oh my God. No, they didn't just say Meek would have been. This chat is insane. Free Ben Affleck.
Going to be sued by the cartel because he's shorting up the drug supply.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. All that Tusi. Do you know how many victims woke up out of their sleep knowing that they was, they not confused no more,
Jaguar, do you really believe Diddy was handling or using drugs?
Of course.
Okay.
Did you not hear the little white man we just spoke to and talking about using the ketamine?
We heard
and you gotta do the ketamine. It's a horse tranquilizer.
I mean, you got ketamine.
Did you hear what I said?
It's a horse.
Diddy said you gotta use the horse tranquilizer if you want to get closer to the music.
But
you can't feel anything.
Kanye said you got to use the nitrous oxide. They say his dentist, who doesn't like a dentist.
Isn't it funny? Because his mama's surgeon didn't look like much of a surgeon either.
That it gets a little wild like that.
Nah, it gets real simple like that. Now all of a sudden, his doctor is saying that he's unstable, and his doctor saying this. So if something happens, and his doctor give him something, and Michael Jackson's up out of here.
The fact Diddy is being investigated for the $1 million hit that he allegedly put out on Tupac. The feds who arrested Diddy are now working with the trial prosecutors on Tupac's murder case. Diddy literally got away with being the real Suge Knight for all of these years. And a lot of people really thought that this was going to go nowhere, but now that Diddy is being heavily investigated, for some reason, they are working with the prosecutors on Tupac's case. Tupac literally told us back in that Vibe interview that Diddy is the one that sat him up getting at Quad Studios. I think there's going to be so many people vindicated in this investigation on Diddy. I mean Tupac, I mean Biggie, I mean Kim Porter, and so many more. Now knowing that Diddy was dumb enough to keep video footages, 1,000 bottles worth of baby oil, drugs, and all of this in his house, I'm pretty sure that he probably has other evidence for Tupac, Biggie, Kim Porter, and all of them laying around. We even had a couple pages of Kim Porter's tell-all book that was released last month, and it explains some horrifying details of what she had to go through with Diddy. And now all of these Diddy victims are on their way to get justice. And it seems like they are already on a roll, starting with Tupac's trial, because we know that this is already ongoing. But you guys let me know what you guys think about the feds starting to investigate Diddy on Tupac's murder in the comments.
I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. Period. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. T.G. Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
After that, I don't really kind of know where to go. Let me one more time.
Right.
We good now?
Because the people want to know, well, why would he get blackballed?
Yeah,
oh, because,
I was gonna ask you that.
Because in 30 years, I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing...
You will tell it?
No, somebody come to tell me.
Okay.
I gather that. I value that. I'll pay for that. Come, tell me. I know so many things I shouldn't know, and they all know it. They all know it.
All right, this is part 1 of the Diddler series. As we dive down these rabbit holes to discover the dark industry and the elites within who controls the masses through negative and dark influences. Thank you again for being with me here today as we dive down these creepy, dark, disturbing rabbit holes. It's always a pleasure to do these reaction videos with you, and thank you for all those who are subbing up, who are liking, who are commenting. Yo, a lot of you have a lot of cool comments, a lot of cool theories I would love to explore, like have you on my podcast type of thing, and let's talk about those type of theories that you guys are putting out there. I read them, I respond, and all the links for the original creators of these TikToks are listed in the description below. I gather, I research all these different TikToks, these different people who bring, light to certain situations, and I compile them together for you, my people, my HFC crew. Stay blessed in these dark, deceptive times. HFC out. Peace.